of June 12, 1977. 3 little girls sat down in a canvas tent at a summer camp in the hills of northeastern Oklahoma, and they wrote letters home. They had met that afternoon. They had known each other for approximately 3 hours. One wrote because she was excited. She'd met new friends and couldn't wait to tell her family. One wrote because she noticed the color of the tent and wanted someone to know. One wrote because she was homesick, because the first day had been hard, because she wanted her mother. And even so, she had already made 2 friends by the time she put pen to paper. Those letters still exist. You're listening to Voices from Dark Dialogue. This is the story of Lori Lee Farmer, Michele Heather Guse, and Doris Denise Milner. Lori Farmer was 8 years old, days away from her 9th birthday, the eldest of 5 children born to Dr. Bo Farmer and Sherry Farmer in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. She was exceptionally bright, having skipped a grade and already tested at the mental age of a 10-year-old. She dreamed of becoming a veterinarian, filled notebooks with drawings, sang in her church choir, and had a habit of bringing home every stray animal that she found. Michele Guse was 9, the daughter of Richard and Georgianne Guse, also of Broken Arrow. She had been a Girl Scout since age 6 and had loved Camp Scott so much the previous summer that she had been counting down the months to come back. She was athletic, quiet, deeply observant, and tended her African violence at home with the kind of focused care she gave everything that she loved. Before she left for camp, she gave her parents careful instructions for watering them while she was gone. Denise Milner was 10, the oldest of the 3 girls, raised by her mother Betty Milner in Tulsa. She was a straight-A student, fearless, a natural leader who choreographed performances for her younger siblings in the living room and volunteered at her church's food drives. She had just been accepted to a gifted school and dreamed of becoming a teacher. She hadn't wanted to come back to camp after her friends backed out at the last minute. She cried the morning that she left. By evening, she had made 2 friends. Camp Scott was a 410-acre Girl Scout retreat in the Cookson Hills near Locust Grove, Oklahoma, about an hour east of Tulsa. The camp had operated since 1928 and had a strong reputation. That summer, it hosted approximately 140 girls across 10 units, each named for a Native American tribe. The 3 girls were assigned to Tent 8 of the Kiowa unit, the farthest tent from the counselors, partially obscured by the camp shower facilities, roughly 150 yards from any adult supervision. A 4th girl was supposed to share the tent with them, but a clerical error had redirected her elsewhere, so it was just the 3 of them. Weeks before camp opened, a handwritten note in capital letters had been found inside a donut box during staff training, a warning that 3 girls in one of the tents would be killed. The camp director treated it as a prank. No security measures were added. Law enforcement was never contacted. Earlier that spring, a tent flap had been found deliberately slashed. It was repaired and recorded as unremarkable. That first evening, a thunderstorm moved through the hills. The girls stayed in their tent. They wrote their letters. Around 6 a.m. on June 13, 1977, a counselor named Carla Wilhite walked toward the showers and saw what she thought was dropped luggage. It was sleeping bags with the bodies of the 3 little girls inside. The investigation that followed became the largest manhunt in Oklahoma history. Investigators from Mays County Sheriff's Office and the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation focused quickly on Jean Leroy Hart, a Cherokee Nation member who had grown up less than a mile from Camp Scott and had an intimate knowledge of the surrounding terrain. Hart had been convicted in 1966 of kidnapping and raping 2 pregnant women, and had escaped from Mays County Jail in 1973. At the time of the murders, he had been a fugitive for 4 years, living in the Cookson Hills. Hart was captured in April of 1978 at a remote cabin in Adair County. Physical evidence tied to the case, including photographs Hart had developed in a prison photo lab and items found in a cave 3 miles from the camp, suggested that he had been in the area. A partial fingerprint was recovered, hair samples were analyzed, a jailhouse informant claimed Hart had confessed. Hart was tried in March of 1979. Despite the strong circumstantial case against him, the jury acquitted him unanimously after 5 hours of deliberation. The defense had argued the forensic evidence was inconclusive and that Hart had been targeted because of his Cherokee identity and fugitive status. Without DNA testing, which didn't yet exist, there was no smoking gun, and the jury found reasonable doubt. Hart was immediately returned to the Oklahoma State Penitentiary to serve the remainder of the prior 308-year sentence. On June 4, 1979, exactly 2 years after the murders, he collapsed and died of a heart attack while exercising in the prison yard. He was 35 years old. In 2017, Sheriff Mike Reed raised $30,000 in public donations to fund new DNA testing using modern technology. Results finalized by 2019 and released publicly in 2022 produced a partial DNA profile from the crime scene, strongly suggesting Hart's involvement. Every other potential suspect was eliminated. A panel of 23 forensic experts convened by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children had already concluded unanimously that Hart had acted alone. The case, however, remains officially unsolved. Hart's 1979 acquittal, his death, and the protections of double jeopardy make formal closure legally impossible. The Cherokee Nation continues to investigate under authority granted by the Supreme Court's 2001 ruling in McGirt v. Oklahoma, which established tribal jurisdiction over crimes committed on Cherokee land, including the grounds of Camp Scott. 3 families transformed unimaginable grief into something lasting. Sherry Farmer founded the Oklahoma chapter of Parents of Murdered Children and drove the passage of Marsy's Law in 2018. Richard Guse helped establish the Oklahoma Crime Victims Compensation Board and the Oklahoma Victims Bill of Rights. Betty Milner spent years speaking at schools about camp safety and shared her daughter's letters publicly, so Denise's voice would not be forgotten. However, the case does not answer the question that matters the very most. It never could, because the question that matters most was never about the case. This is Light the Way by the J.J. Hawk Band, and these are Lori Lee Farmer, Michele Heather Guse, and Doris Denise Milner.
The night was heavy, I was losing ground, but your voice broke through a steady sound. In the quiet storm,
Lori Farmer could not walk past something that needed help. It didn't matter if it was a stray cat on the sidewalk or a younger sibling having a hard afternoon. She noticed. She stopped. She did something. Her mother called her the quintessential oldest child, not because she had been told to look after the others, but because it simply never occurred to her not to. She was 8 years old, and she already knew what she wanted to be, a veterinarian. To the people who loved her, it wasn't surprising in the slightest. She had been bringing home stray animals her whole life. She had been caring for living things since before she had the words for it. Becoming a veterinarian wasn't a career choice. It was just the next logical step in a life that had always been oriented toward looking after something. Somewhere, there's a veterinary clinic that never got to meet her. She filled notebooks with drawings. She sang in the children's choir. She finished Where the Red Fern Grows, a book that makes adults cry, and came out the other side curious about what came next. She was a storyteller who knew how to make people laugh. She skipped a grade and wore it like it was no big deal because it never slowed her down, and she had more important things to think about anyway. She packed a couple of decks of cards for camp. She sat down to write home at 7:45 on her first evening there in the middle of a thunderstorm. And she called it fun. She had met 2 new friends, she said. She was sharing a tent with them. She couldn't wait to tell her family. She signed it with love. Her parents had been planning to drive up later that week to celebrate her birthday with her. She would have turned 9 on June 18th. Michele Guse paid attention to things that other people walked right past. The color of the tent was purple. She mentioned it in her letter because it seemed worth noting. Because the world was full of things worth recording, and she knew it. That was Michele. Quiet, observant, someone who moved through the world noticing things and finding them worthy of care. She tended her African violets the way that she tended everything that she loved, with patience, with consistency, with the kind of steady attention that most people reserve for things they consider important. To Michele, the violets were important. So were the people around her. So were her friendships, her family, the small details of an ordinary afternoon. Before she left for camp, she made sure her parents knew the flowers needed watering. Not because she was anxious, because she was responsible for something living, and she took that seriously. That's Michele. Flowers need tending, friendships need tending, people need tending. Somehow, Michele understood that at just 9 years old. The kind of shy that turned into quiet warmth once you got to know her. She wrote heartfelt poems for her parents. She played soccer. She went on backyard campouts with her brother Michael. She had been a Girl Scout since she was 6 because she loved the outdoors with a sincerity that matched everything else about her. She wrote her letter that evening and described her tent mates by name, Denise Milner and Lori Farmer. She'd known them for hours, and already she was paying attention to them. Her father, Richard, remembered the way that she said goodbye on the bus that morning, a hug that felt different, that stayed with him. Georgianne preserved Michele's bedroom for years afterward, the June 1977 calendar unchanged on the wall. The African violets needed someone to tend them, and Michele made sure that they would be tended. Denise Milner was the kind of person who made things happen. She was 10 years old and she already knew how to lead. Not loudly, she didn't need to be loud. She led by doing, by choreographing the living room performances that her younger siblings were somehow always willing to join, by selling enough Girl Scout cookies on her own to fund this trip, by volunteering at church, by walking into a gifted school next fall and becoming the teacher she had always been born to be. She had not wanted to go to camp. Her friends had backed out and she had cried that morning, and she had gotten on the bus alone. But somewhere between the bus station and the Cookson Hills, a 15-year-old camp aide named Michele Hoffman sat down beside her and talked her through the nerves. And by the time the storm came that evening, Denise had made 2 friends. She wrote to her mother that night. She said she didn't like camp. She misspelled the word awful, A-L-F-W-L, because she was 10 years old and riding in the dark by Phil, in a hurry, in a tent full of thunder. She said she didn't want to stay for 2 weeks. She wanted to come home. And in the very same letter, She told her mother about Lori and Michelle. That's who Denise was, homesick and brave at the same time, uncertain and already building something, already leading. She signed her name in full, Denise Milner, like a signature, like a claim, like she was saying, I am here, I exist, I matter. She did. 3 little girls, 8, 9, and 10 years old. They had known each other for a few hours, and they were already, somehow, complete. Lori was going to spend her life caring for every living thing that she could find. Michelle was going to tend every relationship with the same quiet patience she gave her flowers. Denise was going to lead and teach and choreograph and make sure everyone around her had what they needed. They had plans, they had gifts, they had tomorrow. They deserved tomorrow. For Lori Lee Farmer, whose curiosity, compassion, and fierce love for every living thing that she found remind us that some people are born already knowing how to care for the world. For Michele Heather Guse, whose quiet attention taught everyone around her that the smallest things are often the most worth noticing, and that tending something faithfully is its own kind of love. For Doris Denise Milner, whose courage and determination reminded us that you can be homesick and brave at the same time, and that real leaders don't wait to be ready. For Sherry and Bo Farmer, for Georgianne and Richard Guse, and for Betty Milner, who never stopped speaking their daughters' names, and who turned the worst thing that ever happened to them into something that protected other families for decades. For everyone whose lives were changed by a single night in the Cookson Hills. Lori Lee Farmer, Michele Heather Guse, Doris Denise Milner. They were 8 and 9 and 10 years old. They wrote letters. They wanted to grow up. They deserved to. They are remembered. They are loved. And they are not forgotten.